Hi, today I'll be making chicken tinga tacos for you. I'll be making them out of skinless, boneless chicken thighs. We're going to be making a chipotle adobo sauce. And then I'm going to be making homemade corn tortillas by scratch, paired with some Spanish rice. So stay tuned. Now we're going to go ahead and reserve some of the chicken fat so I can cook the onion in a little bit. Not all of it, just a little bit. It's going to be enough to go ahead and get the onion to where we want it to be. That's some good fat right there. Then we can go ahead and get that sauteed. Alright, so let's go ahead and jump into it. We got that taken care of over there with the fat. And I'll cut the onion as well. You'll see right now we got a full onion cut in halves. And then what we're going to do here is I'm going to use the same cutting board just because we're not worried about cross-contamination, so I'm just going to go into the raw chicken anyways. But we're going to get a few garlic cloves from here. Some good big ones. Looks like a good one there. We've got a bunch of small ones. Sometimes it's hit and miss with these garlic cloves, but you know, they make it work. Another good one there. Go ahead and take off the skin. Go ahead and put that in there. Now we got some homemade chicken stock right here. I went ahead and made this yesterday actually. We had a carcass for dinner, and I went ahead and made it up last night. From here, we're going to add another cup of water, just to ensure that the water is not going to evaporate completely. And then the last bit here, we're going to put some oregano. Just go ahead and dump all that in there. Good big pinch. As you can see, we use a lot of it. And then a good amount of salt, right? We don't like bland food around here. Let's do 2 big pinches, alright? Now, we're going to go ahead and get that up to a boil. We're going to go ahead and let it simmer for about 30 minutes after the boil, and then we'll be back, okay? So we got the chicken in here, getting nice and cooked up. Now we got these tomatoes here, beautiful plum Roman tomatoes. What we're going to do is incorporate this into our sauce. And what we're going to do here is get these skins off of here. And I'm going to go ahead and get them boiling. As you can see, very quickly here, just a little cut, little incision. That way when we get it into the ice bath, these skins are going to come off like a banana peel. So, what I'm going to go ahead and do, get them boiled up. Now I got some covered water, gonna get them boiled up. It's just gonna take a few minutes and we'll be right back. Okay, so the tomatoes are done. We're gonna go ahead and give them a quick ice bath. That way these skins come off like butter. It didn't take long at all. It just helps the process go by so much quickly doing it this way. And then as we can see, we only just got a couple more minutes on this chicken, so it's all coming together nicely. And then we're going to go ahead and get the sauce made for our chicken tikka tacos. As you can see, skins come off like a banana peel, very easily. And then once we get off these peels, the skins, what we can do there is take off this little center piece right here. We don't want that in our sauce. Then just go ahead and dump it into the blender. Okay, so the chicken is all done. The 2 halves of onions are gonna go right into our sauce. Gave it great flavor. Now we're gonna put our chicken off to the side here. And we're gonna let that cool down so we can shred it in a little bit. And then after all this, we're gonna start preparing the sauce that the chicken tinga is gonna be, you know, the base of the chicken tinga. And then we're gonna have to go ahead and actually cut up another onion, and that's where the chicken fat that we reserved earlier comes into play. Okay, so we got the chicken off to the side. What we're gonna be doing here before we get our onion diced up to cook in the fat, we're actually gonna have to be straining off the broth that we're going to be using as a base of the sauce as well. Okay, get a little bit of splash, but that's okay. As long as we got it all strained out. And there we go. We're going to be using the same pot, got a lot of flavor in there. And then dice up this onion and then saute it with the base of that chicken fat. So what we're going to do here, get this fat in here, let it get it rendered out a little bit. As that's going, I'm going to go ahead and dice up this onion. Dice that in half one time. Get that little tail part off. Get the first layer off. See, the fat is going to be rendering out very nicely. I'm going to be sauteing this in here. That's going to be extra flavor. And I said a dice, but we're actually just going to do a slice. I like slices of onion in my chicken tinga. About a 1/4 inch to 1/8 of an inch. It is a little rough chop. We have a little dust storm going on right now outside. Kind of exciting. So we'll go ahead and get a couple of pieces of fat on there. We went ahead and rendered that out. Got that good juices from the fat in there. And what we can go ahead and do, drop down our heat. We don't want to burn, but we do want to get good color on it. Okay. Now, we have a good fond going on the bottom of here at the same time. That is going to be lifted up when we put the broth back in there. And when we put the broth back in there, we're going to let it reduce down. And as it reduces down, we're going to get rid of the water. And it's going to just be packed full of flavor. Okay? So let's just go ahead and get this kind of colored up. Like I said, we don't want it to burn, so we want to get good color on here. I prefer slices of onion in my chicken tikka rather than dices. I just think it has a good texture to that. There's about a half a dozen steps to chicken tinga, and it's really not that hard. It's just about knowing how to do it and just getting it done, really. Keep this getting moved. Get some good color on that. As we can see there, it's turning pretty translucent, and at the same time we got some browning going on. But I wanted it to be a little bit more color, a little bit more brown. Get everything down in there. Like I said, we got some foam forming at the bottom, and what the broth is going to do once we put it in there, it's going to deglaze it. So let's go ahead and get maybe a good spoon to help scrape it up at the same time. Always be organized when you work. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the waste. So that looks like it's a good color on there that I'm looking for. See the good fond right here at the bottom? Yeah, all of it's flavor. All of it is flavor, and it's just going to make everything that much more delicious. So let's go ahead and get our broth back in there. A little bit at a time, that way I can get this kind of cranked up a little bit. Use it to scrape off. See how that fond's coming up right there? All of that is flavor getting put back into our chicken tinga tacos. So we got the heat cranked up, because what we're going to be doing to this broth is, like I said, reducing it down. We're going to reduce it down. And what we're going to do is use my spoon as a measuring tool. As we can see, it's about halfway up the mouth of the spoon. What we're going to do is reduce it down to about a quarter of that spoon. So then we'll be right back, okay? I'm so upset right now. After that last bit that you just watched, nothing got recorded. I'm not exactly sure what happened. It just didn't save. After that last bit that you seen, we got the chicken back in, got the sauce made in the blender, put it all together, let the broth reduce down, and now it's basically at the final product. We got our rice made from start to finish. We were recording, but it didn't save. I'm not exactly sure what happened. And it really sucks, because that was a crucial part of the video, you know, getting everything finally put together into the pot. And it's not there. It's not saved. No one's fault. It must have been some type of faulty glitch. I'm not sure. Luckily, we haven't made the tortillas yet, so we can jump into that. I'll go ahead and jump into making the tortillas right now, but I wanted to apologize. I'm so sorry. But hopefully you got the idea. from where we did leave off of making the sauce. We blended it together. We didn't add anything other than the tomatoes, the onions, the chipotle peppers, and the adobo sauce from the can, and a little bit of the reserved broth that we were reducing down. I had went in and put that in the blender just to kind of help it blend, and then just put it all together. Shred the chicken and put it all together, and that's all we've done. We didn't add any more salt. It didn't need any more salt. I haven't added lime. I would like to add lime at the end just because, you know, a good little acidic pop does make it stand out. It does make it taste very, very good. And then the rice, we went ahead and made the tomato sauce from scratch. We used garlic, onion, and tomato paste. We used chicken bouillon and toasted up the rice very nicely. And just kind of got it all together, covered it with the lid after letting it get to a boil, reduce the heat down to the lowest setting and let it cook for 10 minutes. And now it's basically steaming for that off the heat. Well, kind of on the heat, but on the burner at least, but the heat is off, and it's just kind of steaming, and it's in the residual heat to make sure that the rice cooks completely. So I apologize. We'll get the tortillas made, and then we'll go ahead and plate. Okay, so the show must go on. Let's go ahead and get into these corn tortillas, okay? So what I've already done, I've already got 1 cup of our corn flour. Now let's go ahead and add about a teaspoon kosher salt. Now what I have here is about 3/4 of hot water, okay? It's not cold, it's not room temperature, and it's not boiling, it's hot water. That is what's gonna get us the consistency that we're looking for, okay? So we went ahead and got that in there. Now what we're gonna do is just basically mix this around with our hand. And it was hot water, trust me on that, but you know, when you work in the kitchen as long as I have, your hands just basically become numb to that. But what we're gonna do is get this incorporated, try and get this into a good shaggy dough. And then once we get to that part, we're actually gonna start kneading that into there, okay? And it does cool down fairly quickly. Or maybe you just get used to it. So unfortunately, we missed a lot of what we did with the incorporation of the actual sauce and the chicken into our chicken tinga. But you know, hopefully you got a good idea of just, you know, we got the base put together, and you just needed to basically put it together, blended it up. We got the tomatoes in the blender, we got the onions in the blender. Then I went ahead and put the chipotle adobo into the blender, and then just kind of went ahead and blitzed that up, put it all together. Once the broth had reduced down, we were able to just get everything into one pot and let it reduce down into a very thick type of consistency. Because we were putting it into a taco, you know? You don't want it oozing out of the sides. You don't want it too kind of soupy. So what I have here now is a good dough, okay? This amount, 1 cup with some salt and about 3/4 worth of water is gonna make us a good Play-Doh type of texture. You can kind of play with it a little bit, and you don't have to worry about over kneading it because there's no gluten in corn tortillas, right? So you just go ahead and knead that through and get it into a good ball to let it rest, okay? Once we let it rest for about 20 to 30 minutes, we can go ahead and what we're going to be doing is flattening it out into that tortilla shape with this tortilla press here. But until then, we're just gonna go ahead and get the good kitchen towel, paper towel, nice and damp, and cover it for about 20-30 minutes. That's gonna let it rest, and then we'll be right back. Okay, so we're back now. We've had it resting, and I've actually went ahead and jumped right into making one just because the whole process, you know, I don't want you to be waiting around too long to see exactly what the outcome is going to look like. It does take about 2 minutes on each side because this is raw. You want to cook it through. So what we got here is that resting still, one in the pan, or my cast iron pan right now. It's already well seasoned. I keep it pretty well seasoned so it's non-stick. But what is going on now is it's cooking in here. We have our tortilla press here. We have a Ziploc bag that I have cut to shape onto here where we can have one piece of plastic on the one side and the other on so that it doesn't stick to the actual press. Now let's go ahead and just press that on there. Press it down real good. Maybe give it one good push. And now what we can see is non-stick as far as the plastic. That's what that helps with. And we've gotten our tortilla in a great shape. Okay, so I'm gonna put that off to the side. And what we would have done is we would have went ahead and just placed it flat side down right into the pan, let it cook. This has been cooking the entire time that we've been discussing how to go ahead and actually form the tortilla. So let's go ahead and give it a flip. As we can see is getting a little bit of color on there. It is cooking. Now we went ahead and put it on the other side. We're gonna let it cook for a couple minutes on each side. We have it on a medium low, okay? Definitely don't wanna burn it, but we do wanna get a little bit of color on it. Maybe even a little bit of char if you like that, okay? Now, once that is done, what we have here is just a plate with a kitchen towel on here. We're gonna cover it up in there and it's gonna steam in the towel because when it comes out of the cast iron pan, it's not gonna be pliable. It's not gonna be able to form into a taco. It could probably even break a little bit. But when you steam it in the towel, that's what gives it that softness. That's where the magic happens, and basically it becomes a very soft, supple tortilla. So like I said, we let it cook for a couple minutes on each side. We can go ahead and continue making more of these, but I'm thinking maybe of when we start plating, 3 tacos per plate is gonna be great. We already have it ready to go as far as the tinga, the rice. Now what we're gonna do is top it with a great cotija cheese, some cilantro, and maybe a little bit of lime. If you like that, I do. I really like the acidity. But let's go ahead and give this a flip. It's actually puffed up a little bit. I wish you can see. I'm so sorry about the camera angle. But you can see kind of the cooking on that. You can see it's not supple. It's not ready to be in a taco currently right now. But that's where kitchen towel comes into play, it's basically gonna steam in its own heat, and that's when it becomes soft and ready to go ahead and actually become a taco. Okay, so let's go ahead and make a few of these, and then we'll get to plating. Okay, so here we go with the plating process. We've cooked our corn tortillas. They've been steaming in their own heat. Here in the plate under the towel, like I've said, we're gonna give this as long as possible. I did look at it and kind of feel it, and it's already pretty much pliable and ready to become a taco. But we're gonna keep that at the end. What I'm doing now is I'm gonna go ahead and plate up a good spoonful of this amazing Spanish rice that I made that unfortunately we were not able to get the video of. Still very, very upset about that. But let's go ahead and fluff this up a little bit. It has been sitting. Okay, I got a lime wedge already cut up right here. What I've done so far is, as far as kind of toppings, condiments, if you will, not really, but what we got here is just some chopped up cilantro, some cotija cheese, and the lime that we got this wedge from. So let's go ahead and unveil these tortillas. Now, look at this. See how soft? See how they're not gonna break? They're pliable. And we can go ahead and plate us up some of the chicken tinga. See how the sauce has thickened up? It's not gonna be oozing out of the sides. And then, just the shreddedness of the chicken. That's the texture that I like. Okay, let's move this here, and move this here. Good feeling. Good chicken to tortilla ratio here. This is what we want. Wow. I wish you could taste that. Okay, so let's just go ahead and top this up. And then we got our cotija cheese. A good crumble right over. Alright. Get this a little bit looking, a little bit more presentation, but there we go. My chicken tinga tacos. I apologize once again about that missing footage, but I hope that you got all of the knowledge that I put into this and how much effort it takes, the time. But let's go ahead and take a bite. I mean, just look how amazing that looks, right? Okay, so let's go ahead and take a bite. See that? I still impress myself. The spice that comes through right away, so delicious. I mean, like, if my food's not hot, I'm not gonna eat it. I didn't even squeeze the lime on there. Let's go ahead and try that one more time with the lime. Okay. Man, so juicy, tender. Wish you could taste it. Thank you for watching. Please try it. And, I hope to come back with something even better.